All right, sit up nice and tall. So we'll be working on getting to pigeon. And I just say that because you'll find that we're doing a lot of hip opening. And so why surprise you? I might as well just tell you where we're going to get to. So just listen to your body, be careful. Notice what feels good and what does not feel good. Notice where your edge is and where the over edge is. Don't go too far. Hope you're all feeling well this morning. All right, close your eyes or soft gaze. Because we're going to work with the stability of our hips today, just notice your sit bones, those points. With your sit bones, start to feel a grounding on the earth. I like to picture sometimes that we grow roots. So root down through your sit bones and then allow your body to move upwards. So lift. And notice if there's any tension in your shoulders. Any tension in your jaw, cheekbones, temples, and forehead. Begin to deepen your breath. So this is stretch class. What would it feel like to stretch your breath out, feeling your skin move? Exhale completely. And begin to bring one breath in and release the breath out. Finding one breath moving in after the other. As you sweep your breath in through your nose, try to bring the breath in from the floor of your nose. Feel a cool breeze moving in. Exhale, tone your abdomen as if you were hugging, just a sweet hug in the middle of your body. Lift your palms to your chest. Even feel the heels of rooting in towards your chest. Feel the palms of your hands, the roots of your hands and your finger pads pressing in. Lift your chest a little higher. Take a full breath in. Let it out. And chant Om with me. Inhale. Om. Bow your chin towards your chest. Release your hands to your legs. Slowly open your eyes and lift your gaze. Thank y'all again for being here. I hope the sound is working out okay. All right, so take your legs out in front of you, but keep your knees bent. I'm going to do a few things that we normally do on our back, but we're going to go ahead and stay seated. So I propped myself up on a blanket. You're welcome to do that or not. Separate your feet. Maybe take your hands behind you, so lean back and windshield wiper. So I don't know why, but this always feels a little stiff to me in the beginning. So just notice if you feel the same. But just windshield wiper your knees back and forth. Even notice that you're coming to the inside and outside blades of your feet. Try, when you move to one side, to reach out a little bit. Just a little warm up here in our hips, internal and external rotation. You might notice too that your legs start to want to crawl out from you, get a little bit longer. And then come back up and straighten your legs. Sit up nice and tall. Feel heavy in your heels, heavy in your thighs. Roll your shoulders back, making a nice L shape. And then cross your right ankle over your left. And then when you get there, slide your ankle up to your thigh. You might see where we're going with this. Sukhi Randrasana. Bring your left foot to the floor. So I'm going to keep my hands behind me so that I can keep lifting my chest and stay nice and long. It's kind of hard for me not to balance myself, so you might need that too. Walk your foot in a little bit more. Push into your left foot. Tone your outer right hip and try to get your shin parallel to your chest. We're just going to stay here and hold this for a little bit. So you could stay here, or you could take your hands, wrap your hand around the outside of your knee and your foot, and that may help you stay up, or keep your hands behind you. I'm going to go for hands behind me. So either way, flex your right foot, flare your toes. And you might feel this in the right hamstrings. You may not feel anything. Breathe. Full breaths in. I'm going to come over here and grab my phone. Starts the music. I'm going to hold some poses today. Feel the stretch. Feel the progression of it. And breathe. Now, take your hand and wrap it around your right knee. Take your left hand and wrap it around your foot and straighten your left leg out. And then rock. So this is our pigeon shape. The stretch will be deeper later. Don't swing your shoulders. Try to keep your torso and body toned. And just rock right up in your hip. Now, place your right foot to the outside of your left thigh. Wrap your left arm around your right knee or your right shin and bring your right fingertips behind you. Stretch out through your right heel. So flex your right foot till your foot is vertical to the floor. Sit up tall and squeeze your thigh in towards your abdomen. Push down into your right big toe. And go back to that thought that you are rooted down in your sit bones. So grow roots from your sit bones. Lift up through the crown of your head. I did a lot of planning this weekend, so I have succulents in my mind. But you know how those succulents will start to look towards the sun, or any flower or grass, everything gravitates. So feel that in your body. Root down through your sit bones, lift up through the crown of your head, and as if the sun was on the right side of the room, gaze. Come back forward, cross your ankle over, and bring it next to your left foot. All right, let's do the other side. Left ankle crosses the right. Slide your ankle up to your thigh. Slide your right foot up. Now it may need to be a little further out to keep you sitting up nice and tall. I notice I'm way more stiff over here than I was on the other side. Take your hands behind you if you need the lift. Press your foot into the floor. Flex your left foot. Try to bring your shin as parallel to your chest as you can. I am remarkably tighter on this side. Spread your toes out. Lift your chest. Notice if you still have the long inhale, exhale. Be mindful. Right hand around your foot, left hand around your knee. Straighten your right leg, sit up tall. Hinge from your hip, side to side. And I will apologize again if there's technical difficulties. Hopefully it's not terribly annoying. Hinge. Try to keep your shoulders stable so you could think you're moving through your elbows and your left hip joint. And then place your left foot down to the outside of your right thigh. Wrap your right arm around your shin. Bring your left fingertips behind you. Root down through your sit bones. Lengthen like a blade of grass. And then begin to reach your gaze towards the sun on the left side of the room. Feel your big left toe pressing down onto your mat. A stable twist. Come forward. Stretch your ankle out, cross your legs. Use your strength to pick your leg up. Bring it next to. Bring the soles of your feet together. Baddha Konasana. Bring your heels in as close as you can. Sit up nice and tall. You could even think of this as a meditative pose. You could close your eyes, lift up through the crown of your head. Feel the heels, the ball mounds of your feet, and all of your toes pressing against each other. With your eyes closed, feel your shins wrapping down to the floor. Reach out through your knees. So feel like the skin on your thighs are drawing down towards your kneecap. Take a breath in and exhale. So we're going to move into some stretching here. Keep your right shin in front of you and take your left leg behind you. So 90 degrees. So you are externally rotating through the right hip and internally rotating through the left one. Lean forward. And just see what you get when you lean forward. Take your hands out in front of you. Tense your fingertips. So for me, the left hip lifts slightly. Totally fine. You might even feel like you're widening your pelvis behind you. You may be getting some feels in your hip flexor on the left side. Pretty much just telling you what I'm feeling. Flex your feet. Plant your palms. Lift your chest. Drag the heels of your hands towards you. This is your pigeon leg in front. You'll be seeing that quite a bit. Now I'd like to make this stretch a little deeper. Walk your hands up, take your left leg, stretch it out, heel on the floor, foot vertical to the floor. So flex your foot. And then draw your right heel in a little bit. Left leg long, right heel in towards your groin. Maybe even your right heel is more towards the left side of your groin. Sit up nice and tall. Bring your right hand down and lengthen your left arm over. I just want it to feel like a really good stretch out through the left leg. And then let's change it up. Bring your left hand down, reach your right arm over. See if you can come a little bit more onto the top of your right foot. So roll your shin down to the floor. Pin your right shin down. Maybe your hand makes it to your shin. Reach your arm over like a minute hand on a clock. Let's move in and out of this a little bit. Bring your right hand down, stretch your left arm over. Press down into your left heel, and then come over. Maybe look towards the right side of the room. And come up, Baddha Konasana. Bring your heels in, press your feet together. I love that cue of feeling like your femur bones get longer, because when you try to make your femur bones longer energetically, you might push your feet together a little more firmly. And then tacking the shins down will widen. Full breath. And exhale. All right, keep your left heel in, stretch your right leg nice and long. When you get there, press into your heel, and then try to bring your left heel in a little closer to your groin. Left hand down, right arm over. Put a bend in your left elbow. Feels like you make space on this one. And then stretch as you bring your right hand down, left arm over. You might notice you're tighter on one side than you were the other. Try to pin down your left shin and reach up. Y'all might even notice for me, my knee has to come forward instead of out. So don't mirror me. I'm a guide, but not your mirror. You might be doing something different in this leg. Come down, right hand down, stretch over. And then come down and reach. All right, changing it up a little. Both legs out, wide-legged. Doesn't have to be super wide. Take your hands, grab your left thigh, roll it back so that you feel the skin and the flesh of your buttocks moving back. The loudest car I've ever heard just passed my house. If y'all heard that. Press your heels down, press your thighs down, lift your arms up overhead. Thighs are heavy, arms are light. Bring your left hand down, reach your right arm over. So we're not coming forward. I want you to try to roll your right armpit back and reach. Almost like you're trying to reach something behind your head. Come back up, arms overhead. Flex your feet, flare your toes. Right arm down, left arm over. Slide your thumb back, your arm back as if you were trying to peek in the front of your arm. Reach. Come up, arms up. Now, do start to turn. So make that twist like we did earlier. Turn to the left, bring your hands down to the floor. Drag your fingertips towards you, lift your chest, sit up nice and tall. What would it feel like if you felt like your right leg just got longer? Walk your hands a little bit forward, lift your chest. So this fold is not super satisfying. I want you to keep your arms long, your chest lifted, and just reach forward energetically. And you might feel that over in your right leg. Press your heels down, flare your toes. Take a breath in. Exhale. Bring your arms out, up, pivot to the front, hips even, full breath in, exhale. Start to pivot to the right. Bring your hands down conservatively. Come up, sit up nice and tall. Drag your fingertips towards you. Maybe then walk your hands out a little bit more. Arms are long, chest is lifted. Reach out through your left heel. So it's the back leg that might feel something. Full breath. And exhale. Bring your arms up. Shift forward. Inhale, lift your chest. Exhale, palms to chest. Take your hands to the backs of your knees. Lean back slightly so that you can draw your knees in. All right, let's get on our hands and knees. So we're going to do some stretches and down dog today. So before we do that, come into tabletop. Shoulders over wrists, hips over knees. I just want to work a little bit with our arms. Sometimes we focus a lot on the legs, or at least I do as the teacher. So let's work on the strength of our arms. Tone your arms, tone your abdomen. And then I just want you to bend your right elbow to the floor. So bend your right elbow, lengthen your left arm, look over your left shoulder, grip the floor, push back up like you're doing a push-up. That's how I want you to think your arms are doing a full body push-up. Elbow comes down, look over your right shoulder, and then push back up, pressed into the pads of your fingers. Try to squeeze your elbows in. As you bring your elbow down, it's a straight line. Don't let it bow out. Keep it in line with your wrist. Look over your left shoulder. Push up. Left elbow, squeeze it in. Look over your right shoulder. And then push up. One more time each side. Seems like an easy thing to do, but it's hard when you concentrate on it. Press back up. Left elbow comes down. Come back up. And then you're welcome to try both. Squeeze your elbows in, come down onto your forearms, and then push back up. Elbows come down, squeeze them towards each other. Push back up. Last one. And come back up. Walk your hands to the top of the mat. Walk your knees back a few inches. Tuck your toes under. Lift yourself up and back. Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog. Grip your mat. Press down into your finger pads. Root down into your finger joints. Bend your knees. Lift your heels. Press your butt up and back. Bend one knee. Straighten the other. Kind of like we just did in our arms. Bend one knee, straighten the other. Lift both heels up. Bend your knees, so a squat. And then keeping your knees bent, lift your hips up a little bit higher. Then straighten your legs. Stretch back through your heels. A lot of cues there, but I want you to feel something different. Let's try that again. Bend your knees. Bring your belly towards your thighs. Keep your heels lifted high. Push your butt up. Press your hips back. Straighten your legs. Bring your heels down an inch. Bring your knees down. Bring your big toes to touch. Stretch back. Downward, child's pose. I was going to say downward facing dog. Child's pose. Set your elbows down. Relax your hands. Feel a little heavier in the back of your body, so reach back through your tailbone. Three inhale, exhales here. Slide back up, tuck your toes under. This time, downward facing dog with our figure 4. Walk your left foot in a little bit. Take your right ankle over your left thigh. Keep your left heel lifted if that feels good for you. Press up and back. Lift your arm bones up like you're shrugging. Reach back through your tailbone or your sit bones. And then strengthen your arms. So push down into the floor. Flex your right foot, tone, and try to bring your shin parallel to the floor. Slide your right foot down. Maybe come down onto your knees to take a breath. Lift your chest. Exhale, come right back into down dog. Right foot walks in, left ankle over your right thigh. Press your ankle into your thigh. Keep your heel lifted, press up and back. Power up into your arms. Who says you can't stretch up and down dog for a little bit? Bring your foot down, bring your knees down, child's pose. Relax your hands, arms. Soften the features of your face. 3 inhale, exhales. Slide up, and I'm going to have you take your blanket off of the mat and come onto your abdomen. So just incorporating a lot of the things to get us ready for a very deep stretch at the end of practice. For this one, and watch those that have lower back pain, I know you will watch and maybe bring your elbows out a little bit further. You might notice what it feels like to walk your arms in, assess, make sure it feels okay in your lower back. We're going to take our left knee out to the side. We're going to do what I would say is kind of a hybrid tree pose, sphinx pose. So reach out through your right leg behind you. Left hip, straight line out to your knee. There's a slight lift. Look forward, walk your elbows in so they're in line with your shoulders. We'll stay here, more of a yin pose. If it's already starting to get cranky in your back, I'm going to suggest you come down, lay your head on your arms, and let it be more restorative. And I think we could all find a middle ground. Take your time here. You might notice a little relief in your lower back if you feel like you're drawing your hips together. So tone your abdomen, squeeze your outer hips in like you're compacting, and see if that doesn't help. Notice if your mind is as patient as your body. Keep your mind in the pose. Be careful coming out of this to switch sides. For me, sometimes I just kind of lean over to the right so that my leg can go nice and long without trying to drag it, and then come back onto your belly. Bring your right leg out to the side. Even your left leg needs a little bit of a stretch. Tuck your toes under, maybe lift your kneecap, stretch your left leg back so it's nice and long. Come back into Sphinx arms, or cross your forearms in front and lay your head down. Tone your abdomen in. Draw your chest forward. Notice one side from the other. Right hip is slightly elevated off the floor. For me, if you're wondering, it's okay. About 3 more inhale, exhales. You might slide a little to your left so that you can release your right leg behind you. And just for grins, about 5 inhale, exhales, legs long behind you, Sphinx pose. For Sphinx pose, press down into your forearms, your elbows. Maybe they're out in front of you. You might feel a clenching sensation in your buttocks. It's normal, but feel it from the outside in. So wrap your buttocks in, protect your lower back, tone your abdomen, reach your chest forward. If you feel like you're clenching, try to get away from the clenching sensation and think tone. Press your toenails down into the floor and feel like you could lift your kneecaps, so tone your legs. A few breaths. Push into your arms, tuck your toes under so that you can begin to press your abdomen off the floor, walk your elbows in, maybe even come up onto your knees, grab your blanket, bring it back onto the mat. So see, Sally, I just thought about it. This is a time when you might want a chair. We're going to do a really deep, deep holding lunge. And I did this with a class last night, and I used the chair, and I found that I got into a much deeper lunge. So this is totally optional. Blocks work as well. It's not anything different. We've done the lunge many, many times, but I felt like I was able to get deeper into it. Bring your knees onto a blanket. We'll step our right foot forward first. With or without a chair or blocks, it's totally okay. Tuck your left toes under it. But the thing about me having a chair is I'm able to draw my left knee back so far, walk my chair in, and bring my elbows onto the chair. It was like, wow, icing on the cake for me. Because normally I'm trying to hold on with my hands on the floor or on my thigh. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, if you have a chair, you might get into a deeper stretch. But there's also balance if you wanted to try to balance a little bit more. And your hands may reach the floor. Your arms might be longer than mine. So here I'm going to stay. You're going to do what you want to do. I would untuck your left toes so that you can reach out through your toes behind you. This is a deep, deep stretch. You'll feel it on the left side. Push your right foot into the floor and pretend like you could drag it towards you. Hands on the chair. I'm able to lift my chest and get a stretch, but your hands may be on the floor. Also, if you can see me clearly, I like the shape of my spine for this one. It's a nice lift and slope down. So I found my new favorite lunge. Take your time in this one. Don't grit your teeth. Put some softness between your lips so that you aren't using your jaw for the pose. Steady your breath. And when you exhale, what would it feel like to bring your exhale to the left hip? Now release the pose for a moment. So slide back as if you were going to straighten your right leg. You don't have to straighten it, but just slide back for a moment. We'll call it unplug. And then shorter duration, but come back into your lunge. We'll stay in it for a few breaths. Just give you a little bit of relief. Squeeze your front heel and your back knee towards each other. Be careful coming out. Bring your hands to the inside of your right leg so that you can slide your knee back onto the blanket. We've got to do the whole thing on the other side. Walk your left foot forward, left knee over your heel. If it goes beyond, I'm okay with that. We're close to the floor. We're closing the knee chain. Tuck your right toes under and try to slide your right knee, get over the bony part of your kneecap. One side will feel different than the other, so notice. Maybe untuck your toes, stretch your toes out, sole of your feet facing the sky. You could bring your elbows down onto a chair, hands to the floor, or interlace your hands over your thigh. Push down into your left foot and squeeze it towards you. Lift your chest. Try not to round, so keep lifting. And then feel your right hip moving towards the floor in front of you. Don't use your jaw. I'm finding myself breathing and exhale through the lips because it feels a little bit more difficult than the last few poses. Squeeze your front heel and your knee towards each other. And let's unplug. So unplug, begin to straighten your left leg slightly. And then move back in. Shorter duration, 3 inhale, exhales. Come out. Bring your hands to the inside of your left leg so that you can slide your knees back. And then you might want to push your chair off the mat. Take downward facing dog. Take a good downward facing dog. Stretch your legs out. Bend your knees, lift your heels, press your hips up and back. Get strong in your legs, press your thighs back. Open the backs of your knees. Feel a nice stretch. Come down onto your knees. Let's talk about pigeon. So pigeon pose. I'm a stickler for you having your knee out of range of your body. So knee is not facing forward, it is out to the side. I also like to come into pigeon from downward facing dog. Have a blanket ready so that you can cushion underneath your hip or thigh if you need it. Downward facing dog. Tuck your toes under, lift your hips, press up and back. Bring your left foot in a little bit. Lift your right leg back behind you. Inhale. Exhale, bend your knee, bring it in front of you, but I want your shin in front of you and your knee to the outside of your body. If you are someone that's going to do this on your back, go ahead and lay on your back. I will show you that in just a moment. So your right knee is outside of the front of your body. Bring your heel a little closer to the left side of your body, so your left groin or hip, and then tuck your left toes under. Slide your left knee back, and then notice if there's space underneath you. There is a lot of space underneath me. Take your blanket so that your pelvis has something to rest on. So once I have something underneath me, my pelvis is going to rest onto the blanket. Keep your arms straight if you want, like we did earlier when we kept our arms straight in that first few poses. Or come down onto your elbows, make prayer hands. You might even be able to cross your arms and lay your head down. There's something I'd like for you to feel here. Take a hand to your lower back and notice if the left hip is so far up that a marble would roll across. See if you can come more stationary. So bring your left hip towards the floor. Maybe elevate your right hip and see if you can come a little more, like you could put a teacup on your lower back. If you're waiting for me on your back, because this is not a pose that you do, then you're going to do your pose with the same thing we did earlier in class. Hand around your foot and hand around your knee, lay on your back, and bring your shin as parallel to your chest as you can. Either way, you're getting the same benefit, just a different place in space. This is an intense stretch and a big pose. So pay attention to how your body feels and the signals it is giving you. If you are trying to hold your pelvis up in space, I would much rather you cushion it. We are going to slowly come out of pigeon. Plant your hands on the floor. If you're on your back, stay there. Tuck your left toes under. Reach your right leg back behind you. Stretch it out. Point your toes. Lengthen. Bring your leg back down. Here we go for the other side. Left leg reaches behind you. Inhale. Exhale. Bend your knee. Bring your knee to the outside of your elbow. Bring your heel closer to the right side of your pelvis. Tuck your right toes under. Stretch your right leg as far back as it'll go. Reach out through your toes. Take a look at your foot and make sure your toes are reaching straight back. If there's a hole, if you see light underneath you, take a blanket. Give yourself some cushion. Straighten your arms in front of you. Lift your chest. Make sure this feels okay. Stay here or come down onto your elbows. Now you could do that check here by taking your right hand and noticing if your right hip is higher than your left. Try to draw your right hip down. Put a teacup on your lower back. Or you are on your back with your left hand around your kneecap and your right hand around your foot. Maybe keep your gaze at your hands if they are in front of you for prayer pose. Or cross your arms in front, lay your head down. We're almost there. Be careful to come out of this. Tuck your right toes under. Lift yourself up. Stretch your left leg back behind you. Whew, yeah. Bring your leg down. Come onto your knees. Come onto your back. You do one last twist here. Have your blanket for Shavasana near you. Come onto your back. Bring your right knee into your chest and straighten your left leg. And as you bring your right knee into your chest, take your left hand to the outside of your right knee. So it's a guide. And then just guide your knee across your body. Now we won't go very far. So let the inseam of your right foot rest in the inseam of your left thigh. And then dig your elbows into the floor and pick up your shoulder blades. And then guide your right shoulder blade to the earth. So try to come more onto the right side. Again, not a huge twist. I'd like for you to keep the inseam of your foot on the inseam of your thigh. Take your left hand and you could weight the top of your right thigh down a little bit with your hand. Lift only if it feels okay, take your right arm up like you're backstroking in a pool. Lift your right arm over your head, only if that feels okay in your shoulder. Breathe into the right side of your body. We're closing the hip joint here, opposite of what you've been doing. And if you're wondering, your right hip is lifted off the earth. But what would it feel like for your right ribs to feel heavy to the earth? Like every time you exhale, your ribs are heavier, moving towards the earth. Slide back onto your back, straighten your right leg out, bring your right arm back down. Just notice your right leg, how that feels. Keep your right leg where it is. Draw your left knee in towards your chest. Take your right hand to the outside of your left knee. Bring the inseam of your foot to the inseam of your thigh. Pick up your shoulder blade, shift to the left side, not a big twist. We're just closing, internally rotating the left hip. Reach your left arm up, back behind you if it feels okay. Use your right hand as a paperweight on your left thigh. Breathe into your left lung, ribs, even feeling like you're stretching the skin on the left side, your ribs towards the floor. Slide back onto your spine, and this time bring both feet to the floor, knees pointing up to the sky. Take your feet as wide as the mat, each side, back to where we started. Windshield wiper your knees back and forth. Hands can rest over your ribs or belly. Coming to the outside and inside of one foot as you shift your knees side to side. Knock your knees in so that your knees rest against each other. Allow yourself to be still here for a moment. And this time feel like your spine is rooted. Your shoulders are rooted. Your feet are rooted. And the back of your skull cradled. You could stay here for Shavasana if you wanted to keep your body with a little bit more activity, or if you would like a full classic restful Shavasana, stretch your legs out, heels at the corners of your mat. Arms can reach out away from you, palms facing up. Take a deep, deep breath in, full, long, and slow. And release it out completely. Shavasana. Receive. Begin to deepen your breath. Give yourself some grace, just a few good breaths in. Fill your lungs, your body. Slowly release. Nod your head side to side. Wiggle your fingers and your toes. Bend your knees and roll to one side. Lean a little bit further over and gently begin to press yourself up. Just realized I played music for myself today and not for y'all. Just realized that. Sit up nice and tall, bring your palms to your chest. The music went so nicely too in that pigeon pose. Take a full breath in, release it out. We'll chant Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Inhale. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Peace, peace, peace. Namaste. Thank y'all. Sorry, y'all. I played that darn